You know, we've covered a lot of great stories in this Game Over series, but the Valis franchise remains one of my all-time favorites. Although the action is fairly generic and the graphics are nothing to look at by today's standards, this series always seems to bring it when it comes to rich storytelling, fleshed out characters, and twists you won't see coming. We've already looked at the first two Valis installments, so it's finally time to complete Yuko's journey. Turn back now if you don't want to know what happens next, because today we're gonna spoil the story and ending for Valis III on the TurboGrafx-CD. This is Game Over, the early years. Previously on Valis, a young schoolgirl named Yuko is sucked into an alternate dimension known as the Fantasy World and forced to fight against the evil King Rogless. She wins and returns home, but wonders if the whole thing was nothing but a dream. Well, she learns in the second game that it definitely wasn't a dream, because demons invade the world of reality and the ghost of Reiko reveals a new quest for our teenage hero. It seems that the brother of King Rogless, a mechanical creature known as Magus, has found his way into Vacanti and threatens to kill everybody. Yuko fights back, but along the way it's revealed that she's the twin sister of Princess Valna, another blue-haired girl with supernatural powers. Together, they work to defeat Magus, who is harboring a secret of his own. In his dying moments, he reveals that he too has a younger sibling. Only in his story, Rogless mounts an assassination attempt that left Magus badly injured and left in a different dimension. He warns Yuko that their stories aren't all that different, and she too will suffer the same fate. Ugh, talk about an ominous note to end on. Well, we pick up the story in Valis III, but first we need to go back even further in time to give you a proper history lesson.
Long ago, when the spirit world, Earth, and the dream world were at war, the gods sent a giant to each of the worlds. His mission was to destroy the worlds. The rulers of each world stopped fighting, cooperated, and chose 2 warriors to stop the giant. The warriors killed the giant and peace returned to the 3 worlds. One of the swords the warriors used was the sword of Valis. The other was the sword of Lassus.
Now let's go ahead and check in with the villain of this piece, a new character named Ramses.
Lucia, how long until the world of spirits is destroyed?
About 6 months, then we'll all be sucked into the black hole.
Our only choice is to move our people to Earth or the dream world. Do we have any other options, Radha?
If all of us in the world of spirits move to Earth or the dream world, it'll be war all over again.
The evolution of life has always been the survival of the strong over the weak. So maybe it's the will of the gods that we invade the other worlds, eh, Radha?
All living things eventually die. The same is true in the spirit world.
I've had enough of your gloomy talk. I control the destiny of the spirit world. Anyone object? Seems no one objects. Ray!
Yes, Ramses?
The only one we have to worry about on Earth or the dream world is the female warrior who killed Rogless and Magus.
Yuko. She holds the sword of Valis.
I want to know more about her. Bring back Rogless from the world of the dead. He might be useful. And I think my Sword of Lassus wants to know more about the Sword of Valis.
Speaking of new characters, here's CHAR.
CHAR! Rada's dead. Ramses murdered him as part of his evil plan.
My father.
He gave me a message for you. Go to Earth and discover the true powers of the Sword of Valis. Ramses and his army will be attacking here soon. You better hurry to Earth.
Our battle is a just cause. We are fighting to save our spirit world and preserve our race. In order to do so, we have to conquer the dream world and move everyone there. Are all of you willing to die for me?
Yes, sir!
So, she is the warrior of Valis?
Oh no! CHAR has stolen the Sword of Valis, and Yuko isn't able to change into her character without it! She chases the mysterious brunette in her pajamas, only to learn that the mythical weapon is the only way to defeat Ramses. But before she has a chance to explain, CHAR is captured by Garther, a subordinate of Ramses who is also after the sword. We fight in front of this large neon NEC billboard and ultimately free CHAR from his evil clutches. This is her chance to fill Yuko in on what's happening in the dream world.
You all will be sucked into the black hole?
Yes.
And you want the Sword of Valis?
We really need the powers of your sword to somehow save our world. According to a legend in the spirit world, there were two warriors. One owned the Sword of Valis, which you now hold. The other owned the Sword of Lassus. Ramses now possesses the Sword of Lassus.
Who is this Ramses?
He is the ruler of the spirit world. He intends to move all the people in the spirit world to Earth and the dream world.
Then, what will happen to all the people on Earth and the dream world?
He intends to kill them all. He is killing everyone in the dream world as we speak now.
Oh my god.
Ooh, you can say that again. It sounds like Ramses is trying to relocate everybody from the spirit world to Earth and the dream world, killing pretty much all the innocent people along the way. To make matters worse, Yuko learns that her twin sister Valna has been captured. Yeah, now it's personal, so she and CHAR rush towards the overtaken castle in hopes of defeating the evil and saving Valna. That's great and all, but here's the thing. She has to go the long way, which includes climbing this waterfall, racing through the forest, and sailing over the lake. Unfortunately, there's just not enough room for both fighters to board the boat, so Yuko leaves CHAR behind and sets out for the next part of her quest. As it turns out, we probably could have brought CHAR along, because the boatman ends up jumping into the lake and turning into a sea monster. Ah, what a dick! We kick his serpent ass and make our way to the castle, which is where we learn that there's a fire-breathing demon from the dream world that is keeping the princess in a crystal. Now that may not sound all that bad, but one of the prisoners is quick to remind Yuko that people from the dream world suffer more than anybody else when they're turned into crystals. Well, our hero isn't gonna let that stand, so she rushes to the roof and frees Valna from the crystal cage. She's thankful and vows to help Yuko and CHAR reunite, but first she needs to fight that fire demon on the roof. It's only after we defeat the demon that we learn that Ramses killed CHAR's father, which is what kicked off this whole revenge mission in the first place. The team now needs to travel to Southerland, which just so happens to be near the Kingdom of the Gods. But what exactly awaits Yuko and CHAR? They'll find out soon enough, but in the meantime, let's check in with Ramses.
Are you Rogueless, who was killed by Yuko with the Sword of Valis?
Indeed.
If you obey me, you'll have another chance to do battle with Yuko.
There is something I want to ask.
What's that?
I really don't think your true purpose is to save the people of the spirit world. Am I correct?
You're very perceptive for a dead man. You're right. I'm really after the Sword of Valis. I already have the Sword of Lassus. Together with the Sword of Valis, I can defeat even the gods. Who do they think they are, testing me with the black hole?
Now, back to Yuko, we see that she, along with CHAR and Valna, have located Southerland, a gorgeous palace with water flowing from all sides. She rides a few platforms and kills a few fishmen before discovering that there are 3 bells that she needs to ring in order to unlock her true power. But before we can ring any of the bells, we will first need to fight this generic knight dude. This ultimately leads to one of video gaming's most epic ramps, which sees our heroes come face to face with illusions trying to give us vague information. The ramp is so long that Yuko ends up climbing into space, where she's going to need to test her might in one final test. Here's how that goes.
Yes, I just witnessed bravery. I am Nizekte. Now, let me show you to your destiny. Come. Yes, indeed. Even with the Sword of Valis, you will not be able to defeat Ramses. But when you discover the true powers of the Sword of Valis, it and you shall return to the gods. Are you prepared for that?
Yes, I would gladly die if it would mean that Ramses died also.
It seems as if Yuko has discovered the true powers of the Sword of Valis. The Sword of Lassus is calling the Sword of Valis.
Yuko, yes. Go and stop Ramses and face the challenge of the gods.
Ramses, you summoned us? Yuko has entered the spirit world with the Sword of Valis. Get prepared!
I shall bring you her head, Ramses.
Our fate is in your hands. Don't let us down.
Don't lose your own head in the process.
I know all about how she does battle. I shall not lose.
Of course not. Warriors of the spirit world never lose. Things are getting interesting.
He's right. Things are definitely going to get more interesting because an even more powerful Yuko has entered the spirit world and is willing to die to bring peace. Is that what Magus was talking about? Anyway, the team fights through a graveyard before discovering that only Yuko will be able to finish the fight. An evil force has taken over the Sword of Valis, so now it's entirely up to Yuko. And if that wasn't bad enough, Rogulis shows up to get his revenge. She quickly defeats him and makes her way to the desert, which is followed by an ice cave. But just when it seems that Yuko is finally making progress, she's informed that the 3 bosses were nothing but decoys designed to trick her into coming into the cave instead of saving Earth from Ramses' attack. Oh, his trickery!
And this used to be a peaceful place?
Yes, and that over there is Ramses' castle. He should be there now.
Yuko, the time has come for the final battle. Ramses, I won't let you get away with your evil plan. I can hear the suffering of all those you have killed.
Yuko has arrived.
I know. Now you predict who will win, Yuko or me.
Yes.
Don't bother. I am the only one who can determine how and when I will die.
With the city now in disarray and innocent people being killed, Yuko's only option is to track Ramses down and make him pay for all this suffering. We do that by climbing this giant castle filled with all of his toughest guards. Yeah, this is another one of those levels where you just keep climbing and climbing and climbing so high that it appears that we're actually literally in space. With Earth somehow in the background, Yuko finally faces off against Ramses in the most epic battle of the entire series. After dodging his attacks and using her true power, Yuko finally defeats the demons of the spirit world, and this is what happens next.
So, there's someone who thinks she is stronger than me. That's interesting. Why do you wish to do battle with me?
To avenge the spirit of those you have murdered.
A worthless cause. Every living being eventually dies. The strong are meant to rule over the weak, even if it means killing them. Look how many you've killed.
That was all in the line of justice.
I have a request, Yuko.
What?
Give this sword of Lasses back to the gods. I have no desire for it anymore. Use it and your sword of Valis to save the spirit world. Our fate is in your hands now.
So be it.
Goodbye.
It's all over. Valna? CHAR?
Yes?
Yes? I can't stop the spirit world from falling into the black hole. We shall have to lead all the people of the spirit world somewhere else and build a new world. One where there is no war. You two take care.
The world, once destroyed, begins to live again, but Yuko is nowhere to be found.
So, in the end, Magus was wrong. Instead of dying on the battlefield, Yuko delivers both swords to the gods and leads the people of the spirit world to salvation. She has quite literally ascended. Yeah, it's a bittersweet ending. Her journey is over, but there's still so much left to be done. I guess that's something for Asphalt, Amu, and Lena to worry about in Valis 4. You know, I ended up going back and watching the Game Over episodes from the first two games before tackling this third one. And I gotta admit, I continue to be amazed by the stories and the cinemas in this game. Obviously, this is from the early 1990s, so a lot of the animation is rudimentary and most of the voice acting is just plain bad. but at the same time, they make the most of what they had to work with. This entire series does a good job of fleshing out the characters and making you care about this world. I'd say that the lore and cutscenes are better than the actual game. That's sad. I wish they would have found a way to work that Magus prophecy into the conclusion. I guess that killing Yuko after all that might have been a little too dark, but it does seem poetic based on what led up to this. Well, she's gone now, but one can only hope that she continued to kick ass as the goddess of the world of Vacanti. Hey, thanks for watching this episode of Game Over, The Early Years. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new episodes every week. Now here's the question I have for you. What old school game has the best story? I'm just gonna go ahead and let you decide what old school means. Let me see your picks in the comments below. By the way, if you haven't watched our episodes about Valis I and Valis II, then I definitely recommend them. I sped through the story and the recap, but they really are a lot deeper than what you might expect. Go ahead and give them a view. Anyway, we'll be back later this week with a review of Persona 5 Royal. If that sounds good to you, then I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.